Going to call to order the Finance Committee meeting for May the 18th, 2020. Item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of May 4th, 2020.
Reviewing of the minutes, are there any corrections or additions to our minutes? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion. Accept the minutes.
This Councilman Ivory, I'll make a second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve our minutes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Tracy Mcgee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid.
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes.
Item number 1 passes. Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments April 25th, 2020 through May 8th, 2020.
Do we have a report from the Purchasing Committee?
Yes, this is Councillor Stout. The purchasing committee did meet this afternoon and approved all the claims, so I will move for approval for the claims from April 25th, 2020 to May the 8th, 2020.
Boydstun seconds.
I have a motion and a second to approve our claims list. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Tracy Mcgee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid.
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes.
Item number 2 passes. Item number 3, please.
Consider approval of resolution number 2810 declaring items of personal property presently in the possession of the City of Muscogee to be surplus to the needs of the City of Muscogee and authorize the city manager to offer for sale or dispose of the same, all as per the attached list, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. You have before you the list of things that the city is needing to surplus and get rid of, most of which is unusable or unused and aging. Many of these things are especially the vehicles, may be a lot more costly to operate than it is to keep. And so you see the 1988 Chevrolet 1-ton on the list, some older vehicles, some computers that aren't functional or past their prime. And so this is something we do annually to kind of do some spring cleaning, and we do propose declaring all these items surplus. The purchasing committee did recommend approval, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion? We have a motion.
Boydstun moves the approval. Hibbs second.
Coleman, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Roll call, please.
Tracy Mcgee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid.
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes.
Item number 3 passes. Item number 4, please.
Consider approval of lowest best bid from Heartland Property Maintenance for the weed abatement contract in the amount of .006 per square foot for mowing, $27.50 per cubic yard for removal of trash and debris, $12.50 per 4x8 sheet for boarding up of structures, and no charge for spraying of weeds or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garvin.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Code Enforcement went out for bids for the city's abatement program. The abatement program includes mowing, trash and debris removal, spraying of weeds, and the boarding up of structures. Code Enforcement received 5 bids. We are recommending approval of the lowest and best bid from Heartland Property Maintenance in the amount of .006 per square feet for mowing. For example, that on a 7,200 square foot lot, that cost would be $43.20 underneath this bid. Trash and debris removal is $27.50 per cubic yard. The boarding up of structures is $12.50 per 4x8 sheet. and no charge for the spraying of weeds. Heartland's bid is less than what we're currently paying underneath our existing contract for mowing, trash removal, spraying, and the boarding up of structures. We have reviewed their equipment list. They do have the equipment necessary to do all the work underneath the abatement program, and this item was recommended for approval by staff and purchasing committee. Be glad to answer any questions.
I just might add, this company is also from Muskogee. Is that correct, Mr. Garvin?
I need to correct myself. In purchasing committee, I said they were from it, but I think they're outside the city limits. Tyler Evans, who is a supervisor, is present. I'd ask him if he would come up and say, I believe there may be from Warner Weber area.
Okay.
I think Muskogee County rather than Muskogee city limits.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any discussion from council?
The mayor moves approval.
Councillor Stout, second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Roll call, please.
Tracy Mcgee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid,
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes.
Item number 4 passes. Item number 5, please.
Consider approval of change order number 1 to construction contract with L&L Construction Incorporated for the wastewater treatment plant rehabilitation emergency clarifier repairs to replace gravity thickener bridge, modify clarifier sledge piping, repair gravity thickener valves and piping, and replace chlorine equipment in an additional amount of $83,853 with a time extension of 60 additional days, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and committee. This is our clarifier project at the pollution plant. There's three portions of this change. The first is when we cleaned out the clarifiers, the manufacturer of clarifiers, ours being an old clarifier, basically told us that our piping was built incorrectly when it was built and has been causing us problems. So the first part of this change is to correct that piping. I agree. Looking at it myself, it needed to be done this way. So L&L is going to fabricate the changes to make the piping work better. Second one is the gravity thickener, which went down several years ago. When it's cleaned out, everything that was in it, there's quite a bit of deterioration of piping and the bridge, and L&L is going to do that fabrication, which is cheaper than buying a new bridge. And that's what that part of the change is for. And then the third is some chlorine material for the chlorine feed, which was corrected due to the flooding. A lot of this will be reimbursable through the FEMA loan or the FEMA money, and any that's not will be an OWRB loan. And we recommend approval.
Thank you. Do we have any discussion from council? We have a motion.
Boydstun moves the approval.
Morgan, second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Roll call, please.
Tracy Mcgee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid,
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes.
Item number 5 passes, and with that item passing, that is our final item for the Finance Committee meeting.
We'll now call to order the Public Works Committee meeting for Monday, May 18, 2020. Item number 1.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of May 4th, 2020.
All of us have had an opportunity to review the minutes. What is the pleasure of the committee?
This is Councillor
Boydstun
Stout.
moves approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Tracy Mcgee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid,
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 2.
Consider approval of resolution number 2811 declaring a parcel of property, more particularly described in the resolution, as surplus to the needs of the city, and authorize the conveyance of said property or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garvin.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the city received an application from Hannah Claire Day and Anthony Bella to purchase property located within the 900 block of Choctaw Street. The property is zoned R1 single family and consists of 8,750 square feet. Since the lot is a buildable lot, it was posted 10 days as required by Resolution 2447. And when I say buildable lot, I'm referring to the size of the lot, consisting of 7,200 square feet or more. And in this case, this lot is 8,750 square feet, so it is a buildable lot. We only received one bid, which was from the applicants, in the amount of $363. They are currently renting the property next door and plan on building a new single-family dwelling on the property sometime in the future. Staff recommends approval of Resolution 2811 declaring the property as surplus to the needs of the city and authorize the conveyance of the property to the applicants in the amount of $363. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Garvin. Do we have any questions from the committee or a motion to move forward?
And this is Councillor Stout. Move for approval.
Councillor Morgan, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Tracy Mcgee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid,
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes.
Item passes. That was the last agenda item for the Public Works Committee, but we do have one resident that has signed up to speak. Councillor Ivory Van, I'll ask that you give us your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes, this is Councilman Ivory Van, 4338 Columbus Street, Muskogee, Oklahoma, 74401. I brought this item to the City Council, and I brought it several other times. And if I have to, I'll bring it every time I come before this board, Public Works, and City Council. I still say we need security up here. We got 3 councilmen up here. We got people in the audience. We got a city attorney. We got a city manager. Like I said before, Mr. Miller, the chief of police is your employee. All I ask is sometimes he gets up and go downstairs and look and see what's going on. I've asked you this several times, but you still haven't moved to even complied. By the city council being your boss, and that's what I'm asking you as your boss. That I would love for you to tell Chief Teehee. I know he's the chief of police, but still he's clique certified. He has the authority to walk around. Well, we don't have authority up here to carry guns. And like I say again, this place right here needs security. And like I said, I'm gonna say it until I'm blue in the face. That we need Chief Teehee to go downstairs and walk around and see what's going on right there, downstairs right now. You know, but he's not gonna get up because you're not gonna tell him to get up. But that's fine, you know. But that lets me know what you feel about my safety and these other people's safety up here too. But that's all good. But at least it's going on record. Because like I said, if I gotta say it and say it and say it and say it again, next time we have the same meeting, I'm gonna say the same thing. I turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Van. And with that said, that will conclude the Public Works Committee meeting.
All right. We will call to order the special call meeting of the Muskogee City Council of May 18, 2020. Roll call, please.
Mayor Janey Boydstun,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid,
Here.
Marlon Coleman,
Here.
Ivory Van,
Here.
Jamie Stout,
Here.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Here.
Alex Reynolds,
Here.
Stephanie Morgan,
Here.
Tracy Mcgee,
Here.
Looks like we're all here. We have a quorum. We ask for item 1, please.
Receive report on the COVID-19 pandemic in Muskogee, and if necessary, take appropriate action to authorize and approve a subsequent amendment to Resolution Number 2801, declaring a local emergency, or City-County Joint Resolution Number 2803.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. As we have unfortunately become accustomed, we do have an update every week related to the current situation of COVID-19 in our community. I'll ask Tyler Evans to step forward, and he will update us from an emergency management perspective, and then he will have some others that can give us insight as well. And then I've got a few things to say, and then obviously the council can discuss the state as well amongst yourselves.
Ms. Mayor, members of the council, we currently have 30 positive cases of COVID-19 in Muscogee County, with 15 of those being in the city of Muskogee. Out of the 30 cases, 22 of those have recovered. There have been 6 deaths in Muscogee County, with 4 of those being in the city. For those of you watching the numbers of confirmed cases in Oklahoma, I'd like to go over some of the numbers over the past couple of days. On the 15th, 65 out of 124 state cases, or 52% of those, have been in Texas County. I don't know if you guys, I think I spoke a little bit about last week about Guyman. They have a pork producing plant out there that is kind of a hot spot right now for the state of Oklahoma. So if you go back and you start looking at the graphs and you see the state data, obviously all these numbers are combined for the state. So I'm gonna give you a little bit information what's going out there and in Texas County and Guyman. On the 16th, 52 out of the 151 state cases were Texas County. On the 17th, 38 out of 73, and on the 18th, 56 out of 88 cases came from Texas County out there in Guyman. So over the past 4 days, Texas County has averaged 50.25% of the total new cases for the entire state. So if we were to remove Texas County's cases out of the equation, the overall total of new cases for the state of Oklahoma has been very manageable. Like I said, we're still at 30 cases for Muskogee County. We've been there for a while. To give us a little bit more information related to COVID-19 in Muskogee County, I'd like to introduce Doug Walton from the Muskogee County Health Department to give us an update. Doug?
Thank you, Tyler. Hello, Mayor and council members. As of today, the state of Oklahoma has 5,398 confirmed cases with 4,008 people who have recovered to date, and 288 fatalities. Last time, I believe I mentioned some of our neighboring counties. Tyler just informed everyone of the current case count of 30 in Muskogee County. The counties that touch Muskogee County, Wagoner County, 137 cases as of today with 17 fatalities. Cherokee County, 29 cases with 1 fatality. Sequoia, 14 cases with 3 fatalities. Haskell County, 5 with 0 fatalities. McIntosh, 10 cases, also 0 fatalities. And Mcgee County, 18 cases with 0 fatalities. Since the 4th of May, looking back at those counties, essentially, let's see, changes. Wagner's had an increase of 15 in that 2-week period. Cherokee, an increase of 2 cases. Sequoia County, an increase of 2. No changes in Haskell County. McIntosh, increase of 7 cases. And Mcgee, an increase of 2 cases over that 2-week period. And only one county that had an increase in fatalities, 2 fatalities in Wagner County over that 2-week period. No increase or change in fatalities in any of the other adjacent counties in the last 2 weeks. Regarding testing, at the Muskogee County Health Department, we've collected approximately 414 samples for testing, still with only 3 positive results, and 2 of those were not residents of Muskogee County. We currently have 32 test kits on hand, and also, as of late last week, we now have the ability to conduct rapid test analysis in-house with results available in about 15 minutes, still by appointment. That number is 918-214-2160 at the health department to schedule an appointment. And the rapid test does actually require that patients have at least one symptom. The regular curbside swab tests, which take 24 to 48 hours for results, require no symptoms or contact with a confirmed case to receive that testing. In order to continue opening up and recovering safely, the health department wishes to remind everyone about the extreme importance of maintaining a distance of at least 6 feet from others whenever away from home, washing hands frequently, especially before and after eating or touching your face, wear a face covering whenever in public to protect each other, limit your time away from home, especially if over the age of 65 or with any underlying health conditions, and then staying at home if you are sick and calling 911 if you need immediate medical attention. And that is all that I have this time.
Thank you, Mr. Walton. Ms. Mayor, if I may, I'd like to introduce Trish Sherman with the Muskogee County EMS to give us an update.
All right.
Good evening. Trish Sherman with Muskogee County EMS. We have noticed that our numbers are increasing a little bit, so that's a good thing. People aren't waiting till the last minute to go to the hospital. Be aware that our medics are still disinfecting, we're fogging, we're doing what we're supposed to make sure that the community is safe when we transport our patients to the hospital. Any questions on that? On a special note, guys, it's EMS week. Muskogee County should be proud that we literally have some of the best medics out there and employees taking care of you guys. So if you get a chance, reach out to them, say something to them on Facebook, and thank them. If you guys don't have anything else, you guys have a, yes?
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Ms. Mayor, may I be recognized? Thought I was still in committee
Yes,
meeting.
go right ahead.
Yes, you said the cases is rose. I mean, your business is rose on what level?
We're just getting an increase in call volume. I don't have the percentages in front of me. I did contact one of our supervisors today, and he said that the level call volume has increased a little bit from last week. So people aren't waiting till like the last minute, you know, if they're having chest pain or difficulty breathing, stroke type symptoms, diabetic problems, seizures and stuff that they were doing and waiting to the last minute a month ago. They're finally starting to call us going, hey, I need help.
But it's nothing to do with the virus. It's
None
mostly-
that I have gotten report of.
Okay. I was just curious. You said it was going up, so I just wanted to know what it was going up on.
I haven't gotten a report on that, but I do know that most of them are, you know, probably medical calls, you know, the chest pain and difficulty breathing, seizure type calls, things like that, sick calls.
That's good that people are calling in.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Any other questions? Thank you, Council.
No, but you might take back a message from us that we are proud of our EMS people. Tell them that we are proud of them and to keep up the good work.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Mayor.
Thank you, Mrs. German. That concludes my update. Are there any questions for me?
I do have a question, and mine is concerning testing. I believe I overheard Mr. Walton mention that we currently have 32 tests that's available this week in Muskogee, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. As of today, we have those test kits available, and we get new ones in just about every day.
Okay. With reopening the city, the reason I'm asking, with reopening the city, I had a constituent that called me, and he reached out to try to get like massive testing in church sites and, you know, places that are reopening at this time. So, with just limited amount of test kits, are we in that position where, groups of people can go in and get testing? I guess I'm not really clear exactly on who is eligible for testing at this time. Is it just, when you have symptoms, or, it's a misconception out there of actually who can benefit from the testing at the clinic or, private practices? I guess we're just not really clear on that.
Sure, and I'm sorry about that. It has been confusing, and I guess part of the challenge is that it seems to be the availability of our testing, the kits that are required or the supplies that are needed to conduct the testing at the health department seems to vary greatly week by week and sometimes even day to day. But we at the Muscogee County Health Department, we continue to have free testing available, and we have the curbside testing where a person can schedule an appointment basically the day before, up until the day before, and come and is not required to have any symptoms at all, or to have had contact with a confirmed case. Those were requirements of some earlier testing when the kits were even less available than they are now, and they're still in short supply. But we have that, and then just recently we also have the ability to conduct the rapid testing, which is basically a 15-minute turnaround. However, that set of criteria and the lab sort of stipulations on that machine by the State Department of Health says we can only use it for patients that have at least one symptom. And so there are different, depending on a person's situation, if they're sick, being able to get the results quicker is important. And that's why that's valuable to have that. But if someone's just needing a test, we have those available and have had them available just about every day. And they really just need to call that number. We don't, unfortunately at this time, we really don't have enough extra to be able to schedule events where we could go into the community and conduct testing away from the facility, and may or may not, depending on how much increase we have in the availability of the testing supplies and the sample kits. But for now, we have a lot of room at the health department to continue conducting testing by appointment.
Thank you.
Mr. Walton, the quick test, is that saliva test?
It is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Mr. Reid, I'm hoping here in the near future when they start bringing more of these tests out for the mass testing will be the saliva test, because right now the testing at the health department, the 2-day, 3-day turnaround tests are still the nasal swab test, which I don't think we'll have a whole lot of people that want to do that voluntarily to be tested. So
well,
hopefully,
Tyler,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just completely misspoke. We did have saliva testing available, but that was actually initially through what was being done at the long-term care facilities and the nursing homes. But the current rapid test is also the nasal swab. It is the same method of collection as is used for the curbside, which I know is not particularly comfortable experience for people and can be a deterrent.
So we hope maybe in the near future with the rapid test, they start developing more of those. We'll start receiving more of those, that maybe those will be a saliva test. That way more people will be prone to be tested and want to get tested, not get the nasal test. So
I guess my next question, unfortunately, might be one of those elephant in the room questions that we really want to avoid. But I just want to be able to make sure that I'm somewhere in the line when this question comes up. When we look at the low testing in our community, when we say that the numbers are down, and then we say in the same breath that we don't have major testing in our area, I kind of feel like, we should still make sure that we use the word caution because we're
Sure.
not testing.
Absolutely.
And so, for those people who may, ask those questions, how can we say,
Right.
the numbers are low when we not testing and don't have the testing in place here in Muskogee?
Sure, and I want you to look at it maybe a different light that people didn't think of before, is regardless of the testing, what doesn't change is the number of hospitalizations and the number of death rates. That's something that we can't change, and that's not dependent on testing. So whether you test or not, if you get COVID-19 and you have to go to the hospital, that's something we can't change. And unfortunately, if you end up dying from COVID-19, that's something we can't change. So that's something you should also have to look at. It's not only the testing, but how many people in the community are sick? How many people are in the hospital right now? How many people are with the VA? How many people have died? We're still at 6. So whether or not we have testing, those numbers are not dependent on the test results. So it's kind of a different way, to kind of look at it. But I agree with you. I can't wait till we get more testing out here, especially the quick turnaround tests where we don't have to wait 2 or 3 days, send it off to the state to be tested, that we could sit there and wait 15 minutes and have a result. So I hope sometime in the near future we have that capability here in Muskogee County, which it has to come from the state first, but we hope to see that.
Thank you.
Ms. Member, we
I have
recognize.
a question for Mr. Walton. This is Councillor Coleman. Mr. Walton, can you remind us and those people who are listening what they should do if they do want to get that curbside testing that does not require them to have any symptoms, please?
Yes, sir, Councillor. They would really just need to call the health department at 918-214-2160, and that is during business hours. Unfortunately, we don't have it 24/7, but we do have a machine that will answer 24/7 and take a message, and then we will call back. If it's overnight, we will call back the next day. And we can usually schedule someone in for that curbside testing for the following day. Anytime they call, they can get in the next day, almost always.
Thank you.
Ms. Mayor, we recognize. This is Councilman Ivory, member. You recognized.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. Doug, I have a concern. I look in the paper and it's always 20 in the 20s, and now it hit 30. And the death rates and this and that. It doesn't go up for its testing. That's the main thing. Like Councilman Reid was saying, we have a problem here. We opening everything back up like it's la, and everything's so good, but it's not because we don't have tests. And another thing, I want to know, did you find out, or did you, Tyler, find out how many tests the hospital? Last time I asked this question, nobody knew what kind of test the hospital had or how many they even had. Have y'all found that information out for me?
No, I can't speak on behalf of St. Francis, but can I clarify or answer some of your concerns?
Yeah, because really, that's a big concern to me.
Right,
Because, like I
so-
said, we get things opening up, and you've only got 30-some tests right now.
So to
Not
speak on that a
satisfactory.
little bit, if we do have an outbreak, like Doug said, we're getting tests every day.
Mhm.
I don't foresee all of a sudden 30 people showing up the health department to be tested in one day. If that's the case, we're going to get more tests. Kind of like out there at Guyman, they have more tests out there. The state is focused on that area. They're sending them supplies. They're sending them personnel. They're sending them equipment. They're sending them county health department officials to do the contact tracing to see where these people have been, who they've been in contact with. So obviously nobody wants an outbreak. But I don't want you to think just because we have 30 tests here, that's all we're going to get and we're unprepared. Because if people start showing up at the county health department, and next week I come up here and say, hey, we've got 15 more positive cases in the city limits of Muskogee, obviously everybody's going to be starting paying attention, right?
Mhm.
We're going to start getting more testing. We may have to slow down on the reopening like you stated, and maybe step back and take a look. So I don't want you to think just because there's only 30 tests at the county health department that we're in a bad spot, because obviously we take this day by day. He gets more tests tomorrow. And Doug, how many people did you have scheduled today to take a test?
Sorry, I got myself muted. Let's see. Today we had 14, I believe. I've left my list on another location.
So we had 14 people that wanted to be tested today.
18th, no, we had only 5 that were scheduled today. Sorry, we had 13 on Friday.
13 on Friday and 5
So yeah, it varies. It really varies widely, by the number of people who call. But we have had enough tests on hand to conduct the tests that are requested by appointment just about every day.
So the county health department has enough tests. St. Francis has testing capabilities. Cherokee Nation was also doing testing at Three Rivers a couple of weeks ago. If need be, we can reach out to them for mutual assistance. I know they're testing for anybody, not only tribal and non-tribal members, also free of charge. I mentioned that a couple of times. So if we do find ourselves in one of the positions where all of a sudden we have an outbreak, I feel comfortable telling you right now that we have enough testing, and that if we don't, I can reach out to the state and they'll assist us just like they're assisting Guyman. So I just want you to be a little bit more assured that if something like this does happen, that we are prepared and we have the contacts to help our community.
Well, I was looking I'm reading the paper the other day, and they were saying that if we got the tests, we don't have the labs to test them. We don't have, they're backed up there in Oklahoma City at the labs. So that's another problem, correct?
I can't speak for Oklahoma City. I know some of our tests were going up to Tulsa. Some of the tests here were going to OSU to be tested. And then obviously you have the quick turnaround 15-minute test that don't have to go anywhere. So hopefully that can relieve some of that congestion there in Oklahoma City, is having access to those.
Okay. Mostly that's what I was concerned about, is having testing. And I still say that I wish we did have a lot of tests so we can go around and test people at the nursing homes and go around and just test. Because if we test, those numbers are going up. I would bet you on that.
But like I stated earlier, the test results are not dependent on the number of hospitalizations and deaths. You can't change that. None of us in this room can change that, whether you test positive or not.
I understand.
Councilman
back over
Mcgee.
you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Mcgee had a question. How many tests have we tested thus far since the COVID-19?
Mr. Walton, I believe it's a little over 400, but Mr. Walton gave us an exact figure.
Was that the
For the county
414?
health department. A little over 400. I can't speak on behalf of St. Francis or the private testing facilities because I don't have those numbers. But Mr. Walton, I believe it's just right over 400 people that we've tested here in Muskogee County.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that was correct. 414 that have come through the health department, and that does not include any that have gone through St. Francis as patients at St. Francis.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
You're welcome.
If not, I'd like to turn the floor back over to Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Tyler. Just a few short things, and then I'll wrap up with what staff has prepared. Two things. One, May 15th, the plan that the council put in place following the governor's plan was to move into phase 2. And so we have, as a community, moved into phase 2 of the governor's plan. And so your staff also has been very busy trying to do their regular jobs and trying to do one of the most important things we can do is try to bring resources to our community to deal with COVID-19. So I wanted to give you an update briefly on just a few of the things that we're working on there. You guys have already approved. It's come to council, and we've actually started purchasing process through a Department of Justice grant. You guys may remember just last week we talked about that. The fire department has a similar grant they will bring to you shortly. They are getting ready to submit. Emergency management, you guys approved us to apply and extend and receive additional funding through that. Community development block grant. Tish Callahan's working on a grant to with community partners to try and bring additional federal funds here to deal with the crisis that's been caused. The Economic Development Authority has a grant opportunity we're pursuing, working with our partners in Neighbors Building Neighborhoods. Keep in mind the federal stimulus that was passed at the beginning of April included a lot of money for the state and a lot of money for Tulsa and Oklahoma City. They did not include money for Muskogee. And it did not include money to help with a revenue shortfall. And lots of cities and states are facing a revenue shortfall as people are out of work and sales tax may be going down in places. None of the bills that have passed Congress allow us to replace any lost revenue. They do allow us to replace expenditures that we've made specifically related to COVID-19. And so just today, the state started working out their guidelines for how they will distribute that funding. And so we're working on that as well, trying to bring as many resources back here to replace the expenditures that we've made. We'll be doing that through FEMA and through all the grant agencies that I've listed. So I just want you to know that while we're dealing with this health crisis and while we're dealing with the economic fallout, we're also trying to bring additional resources here to Muskogee to try and lessen the impact in our community. So those are some of the things that we've been working on this week. That concludes the staff presentation related to the status of COVID-19 in our community.
All right. Does anyone have any other questions for Mr. Miller? Or do we need any? We don't need any kind of action on this item, as I understand it.
Councilor Mcgee had a question.
So, I beg your pardon?
Councilor Mcgee had a, may I be recognized, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go right ahead.
Mr. Miller, do you know about what the expenditures are right now?
Depending on how you account for it, so the our actual hard expenditures, I think, are in the $50,000 range, but we're able to be reimbursed for other expenses that we haven't. That's for things that we've purchased or expenditures that we made. Other qualifying, there's a whole list of things that qualify, and that can include the medical runs that our fire department's gone on. Perhaps we're still receiving guidelines from the state, but perhaps the calls that when our police have to take someone to the hospital, when they arrest them and they say, "Oh no, I have COVID-19, I got to go get tested, and you can't take me to jail." There's a lot of expenses related to that. We're going to be doing some improvements to the building downstairs. We've talked about this before, about having the area where our customers interact with our employees down in the water department and the revenue department and the city clerk's office. We're going to try and have those enclosed in glass, again, to keep the social distancing, but allow us to do business with our citizens and to still serve them. Those are the kinds of things that can be considered. Obviously, the purchases of equipment, PPE, all those sorts of things fall into that category. And so that's what today is the first day that the state's given us any kind of guidance about what they expect and what they will allow us to do. And so we're still working through that.
Okay. So you said estimate right now about 50,000.
Yes, it should be. It will be well more than that when we get done. But that's the latest number that I have in my head.
Thank you.
Where's these tests coming from, Mr. Miller? Where's the test coming from?
Excuse me?
The test
with the COVID-19 test.
Where were we getting them from?
So the city has not purchased any COVID-19 tests. So if I said that, I misspoke. My apologies.
I'm talking about. Well, is Mr. Walton still out there on the line?
I'm not sure if Mr. Walton's still on.
Okay. I was just curious where they're coming from with the health department. Where they're getting.
I am still on. I am still on here. So the test kits come from a variety of different sources. It really depends on what labs they're going to be run through. The state has a public health lab in Oklahoma City where most of them have gone through. OSU also has a lab in Stillwater where probably the next most have gone through. But they're provided to the county health department through the state Department of Health through a number of different places that they can get them.
So if you have to, can you call them and say, well, we need more?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, that's a pretty regular occurrence. And now that we have the rapid test capacity for the 15-minute testing, that's definitely less constrained by having supplies or having to ship material to be to a lab for analysis. So that's going to help us a lot to be able to do the rapid testing that we just began being able to do last Friday.
Thank you, Mr. Walton.
You're welcome.
Okay, any further questions? Are we finished with this, Mr. Miller?
Staff has nothing else on this subject, ma'am.
All right. Then we will go to item 2.
Consider approval of receiving an in-kind donation of a bloodhound puppy valued at $1,500 for use by the Muskogee Police Department pursuant to a donation from Bluegrass Bloodhounds, or take other necessary action.
Chief Teehee.
Yes, Madam Mayor and members of the council, this is actually pretty exciting for the department. This bloodhound comes from, there's two different associations across the country. One is the Jimmy Rice Foundation, the other is the Alley Foundation. One's out of Florida, one's out of Colorado. Has to do with kids under the age of 10 that were kidnapped and killed. These foundations started from that. They provide bloodhounds for the tracking of kids that may be lost. Also, we started looking at it after we had a dementia patient that walked away from home in the middle of the night and died before we could find him. So this is something we started putting in for at that time. Just got notice recently that we'd be selected for that. We will get the puppy, I believe, the first week of June, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions?
This is Councillor Stout. I move for approval.
Councillor Morgan, second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I got a question.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Teehee, I know you're the chief of police, and I was just curious, why come you don't have a mask on?
I choose not to wear one. I respect you that you do wear one. I ask that you respect that I don't.
I'm just curious because, like I say, I see a lot of, now people are wearing them more and more and more. And like I said before to Mr. Evans there, I noticed he didn't have one. And
Councillor Van, we got to be careful to stay on topic since we're in an open meeting.
Okay. Just curious.
That's right.
Turn the floor back to you, Ms. Mayor.
Oh, thank you. Roll call.
Tracy Mcgee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid.
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes, and the motion carried. Item 3.
Consider approval of a request for honorary street naming designating a portion of South 14th Street between Fremont Avenue and Georgetown Avenue as Reverend Dr. Ray K. Gaines Avenue, or take other necessary action.
Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For many of us who are currently aware, our hearts were made to be very sad this past week with the passing of Reverend Dr. Ray K. Gaines, who's the pastor of the Central Missionary Baptist Church here in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Several weeks prior to his passing, his church had asked that we consider presenting a proposal to honorarily rename a portion of South 14th Street between Fremont Avenue and Georgetown as Reverend Dr. Ray K. Gaines Avenue, which is the location of the current church. Pastor Gaines has been very instrumental in our community, facilitating programs for young people, including the mentoring of children, the restoration of families, and the direction of parents so that they can be solvent in raising their children. He's also responsible for having represented the state of Oklahoma nationally and regionally as part of the National Missionary Baptist Convention of America Youth Convention, as well as having worked so diligently with our Southeast Regional Youth Conference that represents Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Under his leadership, he was very instrumental in making certain that hundreds of children over the last 20 years participated in the Southeast Regional Youth Conference, which is an opportunity that they may not have had on their own. He was helpful to make certain that transportation was arranged, housing was arranged, food was arranged, and that those young people who may not have ever had seen anything outside of the city of Muskogee had an opportunity to see other things. And so with all that he had done and with all of the church's intention and my intention, as well as those of us who knew him in the community, we had hoped to be able to rename the street after him while he was living, but he fell to cancer, is now with the Lord. Nevertheless, to honor him, to honor his church legacy and all that he's done for the community, it's my recommendation that we place the honorary street name as presented in the agenda item. And with that said, I would move for approval.
Do we have a second?
Councilor Morgan, second.
Okay, is there any further discussion or question? Otherwise, roll call.
Tracy Mcgee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid,
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes, and the motion carries. Item 4, please.
Consider an executive session to discuss and take possible action on the following. A, pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss negotiations with the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge Number 95, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. B, pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss negotiations with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local Number 2465, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session. C, pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss negotiations with the International Association of Firefighters, Local Number 57, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
Do we have a motion?
Councilor Coleman, I move that we go into executive session.
Councilor Stout, second.
All right. Roll call, please.
Tracy Mcgee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid,
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes, and the motion carries. Would you please excuse us while we go into executive session?
Okay, Mayor.
There we are.
Be good to go.
All right, could we please have the roll call?
Mayor Janey Boydstun,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid, Marlon Coleman,
Here.
Ivory Van,
Here.
Jamie Stout,
Here.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Here.
Alex Reynolds,
Here.
Stephanie Morgan,
Here.
Tracy Mcgee.
Here.
We are all back. Mr. Tucker, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 4A, pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, the City Council did convene an executive session to discuss ongoing negotiations with the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge Number 95. After being briefed on the status of those negotiations, I believe an appropriate motion would be to approve an MOU between the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge Number 95, and the City of Muscogee concerning modification to the promotional process relating to the open position of sergeant.
Do we have a motion?
Councilor Coleman, I move for approval.
Councilor
Councilor
Stout,
Hibbs,
second.
second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Tracy Mcgee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
Yes.
Alex Reynolds,
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reid,
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
Yes, and the motion carries. And that
Mayor,
concludes
can I be
our,
recognized?
Hold on one second. Mayor, we've still got items 4B and C. If I could go ahead and handle those.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, go right ahead.
Item 4B, pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, the council also convened an executive session to discuss ongoing negotiations with with the American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees, Local Number 2465. After being briefed on the status of those ongoing negotiations, no action is necessary at this time. Item 4C, Pursuant to Section 307B2, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, the City Council convened an executive session to also discuss negotiations with the International Association of Firefighters, Local Number 57. After being briefed on the status of those negotiations, it's apparent that no action also is necessary on this item either. With that, I turn the floor back over to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. I don't know how much more experience we're going to have with these remote meetings, but I hope we get better at it as time goes by.
Ms. Mayor.
And our meeting is...
Mr. Mayor.
Yes?
This is Councilman Ivory Van. Can I be recognized?
All right.
Before you adjourn, I make a motion that we reopen agenda item number 1. No action was taken. However, I'd like to bring up a concern that I have and discuss a possible amendment in a resolution to number 2801. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Tucker.
Mayor, on this, since Councillor Van has made a motion to reopen agenda item number 1, that will need to be, since that's a procedural motion, it will need to be seconded, and then a vote taken to determine whether or not the council wants to revisit agenda item number 1. Traditionally, under Robert's Rules of Procedure, a council member can only reopen an item or reconsider it if he or she has voted no or yes and wishes to change his vote. However, on this particular item, no action was taken, so it would also be appropriate if the council, in its will, wanted to entertain further consideration of agenda item number 1.
All right, so he's made a motion.
Mayor, he has made a motion to go back to item number 1 for further discussion. And so I think the appropriate procedural action right now is to determine if there is a second.
I'll second.
All right, there is a motion and a second. And we need to call the roll to see if who wants to hear from Mr. Van again, right?
That is correct, Mayor. If the motion that Councillor Van, which has been seconded by Councillor Mcgee, is approved, then item number 1 relating to the COVID pandemic and resolutions 2801 and 2803 will be reopened for further discussion.
Okay. Roll call.
Tracy Mcgee,
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan,
No.
Alex Reynolds,
No.
Evelyn Hibbs,
No.
Jamie Stout,
No.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman, Deputy Mayor Derek Reid,
Yes.
Mayor Janey Boydstun.
No.
Motion fails. The motion fails.
All right, the motion has failed. So,
Good night.
with that, I will say that you all stay safe, and this meeting is adjourned.